for international companies looking to set up and scale in Saudi Arabia or more broadly across the region, there are multiple considerations. As with any new market, a new entrant needs, amongst other things, to consider legal issues, local compliance, HR, and payroll. One company with a strong track record in supporting companies to plug directly into the Saudi ecosystem is AstroLabs, which seeks to simplify and accelerate these processes. Well, we're joined now by the CEO of AstroLabs, Roland Daher. Thank you very much for coming to see us, Roland.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Let's start off by talking about your company and what you do. Is it fair to describe it as a sort of a one-stop shop for companies that want to set up in Saudi Arabia? And just tell us what you do for your companies exactly.
Yeah, it's a very fair description, but I don't like it to stop at one-stop shop. We consider ourselves as a growth partner for international companies looking to enter and scale in the local market. So we connect global companies with actual opportunities. The one-stop shop is an enabler. A company coming from abroad needs to tick all the boxes that you just described in terms of licensing, regulatory compliance, local hiring and team building, offices, tax and accounting, all of the infrastructure needed in order to operate in a country. Granted, we deliver that through our services, but we also invest a lot in creating opportunities for the companies that we help soft land, one through and within our network. So we have helped expand around 2,000 companies to the GCC, 1,000 of which in Saudi alone. So that network in and by itself is a massive opportunity for these companies among each other. But also we've been operating in the region and building ecosystems for the last 13 years, 14 years now. And that depth is another asset that we make accessible for these companies. So we establish connections with government entities, large private sector players, ecosystem or industry or sector builders that these companies can partner with, work with, get investment from, and so on and so forth.
Okay, tell us a bit about who a typical client is. What does your client base look like?
So, as I mentioned, 1,000 companies in Saudi Arabia, spanning across 35 sectors. We're talking upper mid-segment and massive companies. Some of them are publicly listed, Fortune 500 and the likes. Think of companies like Virgin Atlantic, we were talking about earlier, Black Lane, Vale from Brazil, massive mining player, London Business School in the education sector. Many tech and IT companies, so 25% of our customer base is tech and IT players, followed by consulting and construction companies. And the rest of the portfolio is quite diverse across many other sectors.
Okay, let's talk about the private sector a bit in Saudi Arabia, because it represents about 51% of the economy now. It's grown from 1 trillion Saudi riyals a decade ago to more than 2 trillion now. Right. What does the market look like? And where can we see that shift most easily on the ground, Roland?
So our view on the private sector development is primarily through the lens of the international companies coming to the market, where we have seen breadth. So I just said 35 plus sectors, companies that are spanned across the economy, that are coming not only to explore the market. So 5 or 10 years ago, it was more exploratory. Now it's depth also. So companies that came to Saudi Arabia 5 years ago just to explore or through just a representative office are now at the full establishment of their regional headquarters, full on hiring, investing, building local partnerships, and contributing to the development of the private sector. So that's one angle we see the development of the private sector in Saudi through. The other one is the role of the government, that in the last year especially, has started creating more space and opportunity for private sector players, both local and foreign, to contribute to the building of the economy. So the economy is moving from primarily government-led into more of a partnership between government and more private sector players, whether through public-private partnerships or through creating opportunities for companies to come and invest and build their local manufacturing plants, or to create local teams beyond commercial teams, especially in sectors like consulting or, I mentioned, manufacturing and many others.
Okay. And obviously you've seen all these companies enter the Saudi market. Lots of companies are doing that at the moment. Some 600 companies decided to make Riyadh their regional headquarters in recent years. Do you see time and time again companies making mistakes when they enter the market, especially if they're not having their hand held by a company like yours? Do you see companies arriving with misconceptions about the Saudi market?
Absolutely. I mean, we've been doing this for almost a decade now, and the mistakes are almost a playbook now. Mistake number one is not committing to the market, thinking that this is a market you can get the upside from remotely or by undercommitting, and that is totally not true. The Saudi market is indeed a massive opportunity if you invest properly, if you play the long game. This is not a quick buck market, especially not now, but it's rewarding for those who have a plan, show up, invest, are based in Saudi, build local teams, rely on local content and local talent, build partnerships, and try to solve on what they are strong on and rely on local players for what they need to build capability on.
Okay. Let's talk a bit about the media sector in Saudi Arabia. It's forecast to triple to 47 billion Saudi riyals by the year 2030. What does that tell us about the growth of the creative and media sector in the kingdom?
So the creative and media sector in the kingdom is one of our most exciting and strategic sectors for the next few years, primarily driven by, one, the opportunity and the growth of the sector. So if you look at the different subsectors of the creative and media sector in Saudi, it's either upper single digit or double digit growth, when the global average is 3 to 4% max. So at the least it's 2, 3, sometimes 5 times growing faster than globally. So that is one. It's driven by the fact that the Saudi market is one of the largest consumers of media, entertainment, driven by a young population, massive mobile penetration, purchasing power, and a few other things. So there is demand, there's growth, and there are some anchor events that are bound to happen. Expo 2030, World Cup 2034, that also create a pull power to more companies coming to Saudi. That being said, it's important to not think that the media sector is a new growing sector in Saudi. We've seen early movers from back in 2018 with some companies like Augustus Media. That was one of the very few companies that we established in Saudi Arabia, and gives you the great example of not the mistakes, but the right playbook implemented, where from day one, local team, local leadership, investment in infrastructure, they now have a local production facility, studios, and the local teams and the entire value chain. And they've been growing massively in Saudi. Then a few years later, we saw another batch of joiners who saw the success of the early adopters like Augustus Media. We had companies like Footballco that owns Goal.com, who again played the right playbook and came to Saudi, now have their RSQ, started hiring from day one. You cannot do media and content remotely. You need to fully embed in the local ecosystem, fully rely on local talent, and then infuse it with your expertise and your capabilities. And Footballco did it really well. They have now massive reach in Saudi, and I think it's one of their fastest growing markets too. So we're excited about this sector in terms of opportunities. And especially about the announcement that we made late 2025, us joining the Riyadh Creative District, which is a partnership with the Royal Commission for Riyadh City, very ambitious project that is currently in full rollout mode to establish a hub for the media, creative, tech, and education sector serving the creative industry out of Riyadh.
Okay, I mean, Tom, we're out of time, but really appreciate you coming to see us and sharing all of that with us. The CEO of AstroLabs, Roland Daher. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Appreciate it.